Well, with the story we did share with you earlier on, someone was totally disturbed yesterday after realizing that her land was stolen or taken away or bought without her consent right back in the village. How can you handle such a case, knowing that we're registering more to do, more, we have this vice around us that is to do with mental health, and the ladies have been expressing. Olivia has been sharing with us some of the tips on the first aid, not like, hey, you know, you go to Butabika, what's the hassle? Why don't you forget about that land? That was what was running around with the first aid she got. How can you handle such a person?
Well, obviously the first thing to do is not to threaten to lock her up in a mental institution. This is normally the image most people get when you mention Butabika. They think they're going to be locked away, they're going to be more or less in jail. That doesn't do much for their mental health either. So we always tread with a bit of compassion. Mental health workers, you know, we get trained to use a bit of compassion, a bit of empathy. The first aid usually is to get this individual to calm down. You know, they've gone to a place where their whole life is all about this one problem that they're facing now. You need to bring them out of that little bubble they've gone into, and eventually, you know, walk them that tightrope back to normal life. At this point, all she could think about is, this is the end of my life, the end of my heritage, the end of the legacy that was left to me by my ancestors. So we need to you know, make her see that this might not be the case.
Well, at the end of the day, she ended up so drunk.
Yes, that's a coping mechanism. There's many different coping mechanisms, and that's not necessarily the right one. Obviously, this might not have been her first time to drink. Maybe this is how she normally copes with tough issues in her life. But at this point, whoever is with her should really try to help her to find better coping mechanisms. And normally, this would require seeking help. It could be in Butabika. Like you said, Butabika always brings about this stigma of, oh, I'm going to be locked up, I'm mad. No, not necessarily. You find
this
people,
morning she has been singing to herself. She has been doing the singing
she needs some help. She certainly needs some help.
Well, it's something that maybe someone out there could also be
some psychiatric help, yes, some psychotherapy or something.
Help.
Yeah. One of the easiest ways to figure out a situation like that is to imagine yourself in that same situation.
Yes.
If this exact thing that has happened to this lady happened to you, how would you like to be helped? A lot of the time, most people just want to be listened to. You know, they want to feel heard. They want to know that another human being understands the depths of the misery that they are feeling at that point in time. That will usually help them to calm down. But when you start threatening to go to, that they're going to get locked up, that they've lost everything, that they need to calm down, we all know when we're in a moment of panic, being told to calm down does not calm us down at all. In fact, if anything, it exacerbates the panic, you know. So these people need to be listened to. They need compassion, like Olivia was saying. Life is going to happen to all of us. No one can sail through life smoothly and seamlessly, and I think we need to be each other's keepers. We need to be each other's keepers. If this is happening to your neighbor, do not then sensationalize it into Lugambo and banange ono
did you see her banange and she was drinking
step into, imagine if it were you, run to their rescue, listen, tell them you're there, take them food. Tell them, if it's something that is out of your control, take them to a professional, you know. There is there's free counseling as well. You know, there's companies that offer free counseling. If she can't afford to see a therapist, then she can go for free counseling at Strong Minds. The company is called Strong Minds. This takes someone 5 minutes to go on Google and find out free counseling services or counseling services. But when you start telling a person who is in panic that they're going to end up in Butabika, you're really doing more harm than good.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, we do commend Minette for what they're doing, incorporating it in your organization. Yes. Making sure, and like the example she gave to us, at least 1 week, the managers would go for such therapy. That is what the other organization, I think, should borrow a leaf from.
Yes, yes, please.
Maybe to interest the viewers watching more about Minette, the services that you offer.
Okay. Minette is quite pan-African. We want the African human capital to be what it should be from now. I speak from an understanding that Africa is at a place where we need to have an insight of what is going to happen in the next few years. But it's going to happen if we have human capital instead, I mean ready to see, ready to go, ready to move, ready to create, ready to do everything. Now, mental health in this space is playing us negative, and that's where we come from, to try and bring and create solutions for human capital in the space where psychosocial issues are on the increase, affecting the workforce. From where I play from, it's very important. And you brought up a very good example, a woman. I don't know why you pointed a woman. I've seen men as well lose it. They're always in bars. But in this context, I also see that women are playing a very vital role. Our society raises with women and can also fall with women. Why was it important for the woman? Why is she the one crying for the land? I'm sure there are men behind. But we carry an insight into things that are very important and critical for development holistically. But more than that, I want to say that a human brain is made up of a couple of things for it to be very stable. It has a spiritual element. It has a physical element. It has a financial that could affect its physical as well as mental. And these are very critical. When you play or deny it one of the 3 or 4, you are affecting it. Now, ideally, as individuals, we need to understand and get a level playing field for all these. What is your spiritual life? Because it gives you a response to anything that happens to you mentally. What is your body like? If your body is not strong, the reflex of it will affect your mental faculty as well. So we need to play. One of the things that Minette does is that we have monthly webinars which are open to the public to listen in. And we talk about mental health on subjects that could captivate and help people capture what can help them manage their mental health, to create a balance, to know the important things. What has happened is that social media has denied people to know what is right and what is wrong. And a normal person does not know what is right to do. That's why drinking was a solution. And I ask myself, what happened to the woman of long ago who used to take in and resolve from inside, to the woman who goes public when there's an issue that is happening? What happened to that woman who used to take care of her children until they grew and became men, and then she opened up to tell you things she went through, and you're like, how did you actually go through this? But what she saw as an important thing was to raise a family, to raise men, to raise presidents, to raise people who would be something tomorrow. And for me, in this space is what I want us to focus on. A woman's mental health is very important. She'll stabilize the men, she'll stabilize the children. And with her mental health upbeat, we are able to savage nations, we are able to savage the world, and that's what we look at. Now, as Minette, we create a special place. We work with all these people to come and give what they have. Mental health is multifaceted. It could come in a marriage relationship, it could come in workload, work schedules, it could come in anything, addictions. Now, we try and bring all providers in this space to try and support you get out of, because mental health is a continuum. It moves from a very healthy person to an ill health. And all of us go through that continuum. If you don't manage yourself to go back into the health continuum, you find yourself in Butabika for clinical management. But all of us are susceptible. From statistical point of view, we have 59 psychiatrists in the country. Obviously, they can't manage the influx. But also looking at where we are going, I think last year in October, New Vision published subsequently a volume of articles talking about mental illness in secondary schools and universities. That is appalling for me. Now, today's workforce will definitely have to handle mental health as part of their culture, values, and things to do in the workspace. And like I said, this is appalling. If we don't get women to handle children at that stage, you're going to have a small Butabika handling a lot that they can't even handle. So it's for me, it's looking at the sociologists are few as well, psychologists are few as well. We don't have the capacity, but what we have at our hands as mothers is to stabilize the mental situation of our children and our husbands and society as a whole. If we are sane, society is sane.
Our offices are 24/7. I think, Helen, the question you posed was for all of us.
Yes,
where is that woman?
Where is that woman? Where is that woman?
And
That woman has to come back.
Olivia has and I must give you an answer. Plus Leona right here. Where is that woman?
We're all looking for her right now.
You're also looking.
Yeah, we're all looking for this woman.
I think that it's also important for us to allow space for evolution. People evolve, things change. What worked yesterday may not necessarily work today, because today has different problems. In fact, the practice of behavior science wasn't even a thing in health until 1925, because the disease model changed from infectious diseases, which was tetanus, polio. Remember the 7 killer diseases? Kwashako.
The ones in the curriculum.
So the health model changed from infectious diseases to chronic illnesses, right? So that main killer diseases are no longer polio and kwashako. It's chronic illnesses, it's cancer.
That is why we're even failing to do homework with the children.
Yes. Cancer, diabetes, heart disease, all of these things are behavior. Yeah, these are lifestyle illnesses.
Lifestyles, yes.
So this is how behavior scientists, like this is how the three of us are here, because it's how it's a thing of evolution. And so I think it's important for us to also recognize that what worked for our grandmothers may not have worked well for our mothers, and what worked for our mothers may not particularly work for us or for the generation that will follow us. Yeah.
Maybe just getting to something else. How do we incorporate ICT in your space? Because I know at the end of the day, it is something that is part of us. The involvement she's talking about. We're living in the tech space as well. The social, Helen talked about as well. I'll start with Olivia right here. How are you incorporating ICT in your day-to-day work?
Well, obviously ICT at this point is everywhere. We provide medical services now. What you want is to have as many people accessing these services as possible. And what's the easiest way to do that? It's through, it's bringing the service as close as to somebody, and the only method to do that is through ICT. So as you said, right now you'll find a lot of medical service providers have created apps where you can give consultations. Right now we do give consultations, psychotherapy consultations over some apps that have been developed for us. And you can book a session, you can get, have all the records and all of the client records carefully archived into these systems. So the way we use it is really through not only just to deliver the service, but also to educate ourselves and to actually also get our clients to find tools and to find information to help them in their recovery. So
we come to you already knowing.
You do most.
I'm like, no, you're prescribing this, but then Mr. Google
but it says Google say the dose is like this.
How am I supposed to pay for the consultation? I mean, I'm just talking to you on phone.
It's a little bit different. That works very well. In fact, it happens a lot in when you're dealing with a lot of these physical health issues. But with mental health, it's a little bit different, because much as you may know that yes, I'm suffering from a particular condition, treatment, my treatment may differ from somebody else who has a similar condition. For instance, if we both have bipolar, the way you're going to walk me through my bipolar to get me well may be different from the way Leona will respond to the same. So each client has to be treated quite differently. It's not necessarily, straight out, this is the solution, everybody go use that and you'll be fine. Wow. It's a little bit different.
Okay, Leona, how do you incorporate ICT? Quick care, find solution for the client.
It's pretty much the same as Olivia has said, maybe on a much smaller scale, because I'm not a hospital, but I have virtual sessions. So a lot of people can't really make it to my practice, which is in Bugolobi and Bandali Rise. So a lot of people can't make it there because they have like 1 1 hour. Sessions are typically 1 hour. So to take the 1 hour off of work and to get to my office and then back, it's into the hour. So a lot of the time we have virtual sessions. You know, if you're speaking to, for example, Helen, or if you're speaking about employee assistance services programs, then you have you know, all these mental health nuggets that you send to people they receive them on their phones every day or every week, or but for me it's usually webinars and actual virtual sessions that I have. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Would you love to add a voice?
Yeah, thank you very much. Minette is actually a 3-time award winner for employee assistance programs. But 2 of these times is because of technology we brought on board, and that is in partnership with Baobab Circle. Baobab Circle has a technology that allows you access medical care, including psychosocial support, in the palm of your hands, through a mobile application, and which we call Minette Afiapap. So all our clients on board have got this application to try and call a counselor. What we are creating here is convenience. We are covering the whole of Uganda, but there are not many psychologists up country. There are not so many psychiatrists up country. So what do? Technology comes in to help us. Okay, if you ask our parents who are in the villages, probably they have no access. That's why she said some of the suicide cases are not reported. Why? Because there is nobody who has been able to access and probably put a record to it that this is a suicidal case. So what Minette has done is to introduce this application. When you become our client, you download it on your phone, where you can't physically have a face-to-face access to Leona or Olivia. You can talk to them through the mobile application. But also we have Teams, we have Zoom, we have online, a phone call, a WhatsApp call. We use all models that can suit you depending on where you are to be able to access. So technology is well embraced. I think it's a very good thing, and what I always say is that the transition between where I have been to technology is what needs to be treaded carefully. Because when you replace humanity with technology also, it has its own defects. A human touch is a human touch. So we try as much as possible to touch our clients as possible to get them out of the situation even quicker than putting them into technology. But like she said, we share weekly nuggets to talk about something that will trigger your mind to know where you are at. Talk about words of wisdom, about mental health, about yourself, about self-care. As a woman, what are the things that you need to take care of? How do you create a work-life balance? This is a very critical point. Relationships, I think big, 60% of the counseling issues we handle have got a relationship element in them. How do people no longer know how to relate? They no longer, they are out all the time. They are in and out. I mean, I have this baby, I have this demanding man, what do? I have work, and then you try and help them with the counselors on how to balance the two. But also a caring talk is very important to a mother. You might not be able to take away what they're handling at that time, but it is important to talk to somebody who has the same heart, who feels for them, who can come to their place, and that's what we do. We'll come to your space and help you move with the tides that we are moving in as the world transitions into urbanization and all that we are seeing.
Wow. I'm thinking, well, I hope at least in the next 2-5 years down the road, we don't have more cases to do with mental health issues. And maybe, like I shared out there, this platform enables the women out there, the mothers and the fathers, to get to know why they should invest in their children to do some of the particular courses that have placed the women in different positions they're in today. And also helping the young girl out there who's trying to figure it out. Maybe like, I've been inspired by Olivia's story, I've been inspired by Leona, I can also stand out to be like Helen. Yes, a word of encouragement.
Okay.
Well, for young women particularly, personally I'm very passionate about the young woman. For quite a long time we've been, they've been left behind. So I guess right now there's quite a lot of effort to really promote the young woman. Personally, I really encourage young women to go into the field of psychology and psychiatry. I encourage everybody, because we have so few of these professionals with such a large population struggling with mental health. I think to inspire somebody, we really have to start much lower than when they're out here already, seeing. You mentioned 2 years from now. I don't think the numbers will go down. In fact, because of the way our lives are going right now, I believe we'll probably have quite a lot more mental health issues and cases to deal with. So obviously the more providers and the more support we can provide, the better. This is the time for us to really encourage young people to go into this field. A lot of, in my class, and I went, I did my bachelor's in psychology in the late 90s, and somehow we all just accidentally found ourselves in this class. It was never really my intention as a young child, or let me go study psychology and be a psychologist, because nobody even knew during that time what this field was about. But somehow it got interesting for me after my first year of university, and I somehow ended up going into that because I was fascinated with the things they were teaching me about how the mind works. If we could incorporate a little bit of this in maybe even in A-level education, so children know that if I'm going to go and do a sciences, I don't just have to do medicine or engineering. I could go and do psychiatry, I could do psychology. It would be very, very good, because the more, the population is growing. I read an article recently saying that in the year 250, I think there'll be around 70 million Ugandans. The population will be about 70 million, because our number of children per mother is quite still quite high. So in the next 30 years or so, we could be 70 million Ugandans, and the rate at which the mental health situation is going, we shall need a lot more psychiatrists and psychologists.
Well, I think that's for both of us, the women and the men. We wouldn't really put it on ourselves. When it comes to the children, the more children that we're having.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we need psychiatrists and psychologists to handle
instead
this
of
volume of
only thinking about the engineering courses. At least they should tap into this space.
Yes.
Well, Leona.
Me.
Inspiration. What keeps you there where you are on a daily and you're like, yes, this is me?
Say that again, sorry.
What keeps you there and you don't want to leave and you're like, yes, this is me, this is what I was born to do?
Oh, I know that this is what I was born to do. I know that this is my purpose. I know that this is the reason I'm on earth. It's to do this, and that is why I find it very fulfilling, because it really is my calling. I strongly commend for the younger ladies and men that are trying to come into the mental health sector. Don't come into the mental health sector because it's the new trend. It is trending. Everybody's about mental health now. Lots of misuse actually of mental wording of things, like the weather today is bipolar. Oh, I'm feeling I have OCD. OCD is a painful affliction.
Everybody's depressed, has depression.
Everybody has depression. As soon as someone is a bit stressed, they are depressed.
You go on with the basics and you feel like you can just do it.
These are serious illnesses, and it is also because of stigma that people make fun or speak lightly of. Nobody says, I have a headache, I think it might be cancer. Nobody does that, right? Because they're terrified of cancer. But because of the stigma of mental health, there's more people dying from suicide than are dying of cancer in Uganda. The depression is so real and so painful to your family and to yourself, and it sucks the life out of you chronically until you're left to nothing. And this is the same as many other mental illnesses. The thing that they joke about, like OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, is a debilitating illness. It is not a joke at all. Bipolar is a debilitating illness. I wouldn't joke about that.
Regardless of the age.
Regardless of the age. So I will say that don't come into mental health because it's the trend, because you want to be a therapist and it kind of sounds cool, because you will burn out. This work needs you to be plugged in. It should be your calling. It should be something that you're passionate about. You should be into humanity, into people, into helping people. That will really help you to sustain, and you need to know how to self-regulate as a person, because how are you going to hold space for 5 different people every single day if you can't hold space for yourself, right? Yes. You need to have a secure relationship with yourself. You need to bring yourself, and I'm not saying you have to be perfect. Absolutely not. I'm still imperfect 18 years later into this practice. I'm still imperfect, right? Nobody's perfect. But what my message is that if you're passionate about people, if you're passionate about helping people, if you're passionate about adding value to people, if you naturally sometimes even feel like you naturally gravitate towards it, right? Then you should definitely consider getting into mental health. And it has many sectors, as Helen was saying. You could be a counselor, you could be a psychologist, you could be a psychiatrist, you could be, there's all kinds of practices in the mental health industry, and it's decent. It pays decently, and there is a need. So
a big need.
I just love that bit. Not just getting in bandwagon. It's the inner thing. It's a text space. It's what you need to listen to that inner voice in you. Well, Helen,
thank you
what
very
an
much,
encouragement.
Olivia. Well said. There is a need. It's quite huge, and it is growing at the speed of anything we can talk about. But we, as Christian, we're also praying that it doesn't get to the worst. We know God can change anything. And also Leona well said, it's a calling, it's a passion. What I would like to ask the woman out there, the young girl, is that look inside yourself, really. Don't rush to do anything. I worked in the medical industry for quite some time now, I think over 17 years. But one of the things I found that is very disturbing is to find a nurse who is irritated at a patient or giving a wrong drug and has no remorse. That for me, you are really misplaced. So don't rush to go into this particular field, because it, like Leona said, it's a calling, and it takes a lot from an individual. It's a selfless career. You get it? But look inside yourself. One of the things I've also found in our counseling records is the fact that people are not so aligned to where they are, and as such, they are quite disturbed by tasks. They are quite disturbed by simple instructions. Anything is a disturbance because they're not aligned right. And I think that has been a mistake. That is part of the problems of our probably education system. It hasn't nurtured us in a way that we are all aligned where we are supposed to be. And as such is the mental illnesses we are finding today, because if the work requires you to do certain things and you are in that space, you are required. If it requires you to create and you're not creating, your performance is going to be poor at the end of the day, because you're not creating, you're not growing, neither are you growing. So that has been a disturbance. And I think for me, for Africa, if we are to go forward, we need to have people who look inside themselves. Who am I? What's your identity? What has God created you to be in the first place? Do you find yourself, like Leona said, quite connected to people? You love them. I'm a very passionate people with people being who they are supposed to be. I'd love to see someone shining, giving them an opportunity to be what they can be best. Is that yours? And if it's not yours, get something else. Go into ICT, go into records management, go manage equipment. It doesn't need so much, but it's important because you're going to shine there. It's not a laughing thing. You're going to shine there, and you're going to do so much than being a people person, being supportive, yet you can't do so much. So I'd like to ask the young lady, the woman out there, our call is so huge. It's so huge. If every woman would hear this voice and say, look, let me go back to the basics. Who am I? I am a woman. I'm a nurturer. Have you nurtured your household? Have you nurtured your neighborhood? Have you tried to help people? Because your voice is very important. Your nurturing is what it takes to raise everything.
Not have a frustration of like, no one appreciates me. Who is going to commend me? Everything ends up on me. My office is open to
no, instead of doing that, please do, because it's your calling. It's what God gave you. When man was insufficient, God said, and he saw that there was something lacking. So he added what could complete.
The masterpiece.
The masterpiece. So we are the masterpiece to complete the story, to nurture the world into the beauty it needs to have. Thank you.
Beautiful words from the ladies right here. But time is against us. Before we let them go, if you're out there and you're watching, and maybe you're going through some situation or circumstances, don't feel so bad. You know, some time back, we did host some of the other ladies as well. Someone pointed out that if your body wants to rest, please do that. If you feel like you want to eat something sweet, do it. accept what your body is telling you, what is communicating to you. Yes, so if you get to that beat in life and you really want to find a wellness person to attend to you, or you need therapy, don't think you're doomed or it is witchcraft or something that why me. You will all go through the struggles. Before I let the ladies go enjoy their Tuesday, how can we find Minette? We'll start with Helen, and how can we get to Olivia if someone wants to get more inspiration from you before we let you go?
Okay. UBC, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you, Sandra, for this show. Thank you for loving women and for believing in us. Minette is one of those organizations that has stepped forward, first of all, to look out for helping human capital excel wherever it is, in every atmosphere. And it has wellness program, complete wellness programs, where you'll find Leona, where you'll find Olivia, doing different things. Our approach is three-faceted. We talk about these issues live to help you identify the signals in your own life. But even when you identify them, we have a counselor back end to talk to you as an individual, to help you out, to journey you into where you're supposed to be. But also beyond that, we do assessment, mental health assessment as a place. So when you become part of us, we are able to do a range of things. Mental wellness is quite comprehensive. It can look for a house girl for your homestead if you don't have. It can help you know how to deal with a mother-in-law. It can help you in parenting. So it's quite huge that when you become our partner. So in order to contact us, if you want more information about this, you can send an email to hope@minette.co.ug. I'll be able to respond to you to the different psychological needs that you might have. hope@minette.co.ug. I'll be happy to receive your email and to help you out. Thank you very much.
That is hope@minette.co.ug.
Yes.
Olivia, how can someone get a hold of you?
Okay, so I work with a couple of companies, a couple of medical providers. I can be reached first and foremost through Minette, because I do provide therapy with Minette. So through the same email that Helen has shared, you can go through that if you're working with Minette, or you can find me at Victoria Medical Services. My email is okagwa@vmshealth.net. Or you can find me at another organization where we support people who have drug and substance abuse, and people who need basically mental health hospitalization at Chapters Health and Recovery Center, which is in Buloba. And there you can still reach me on the same email, okagwa@vmshealth.net.
Victoria Medical Services,
Yes.
which side is it located?
We are located in Entebbe. Yes, we are located in Entebbe.
Wow, great work.
Thank you.
Well, Leona, how can someone get your services?
They can contact me. I was about to drop my number, but maybe not. My office, my practice is on Bandali Rise in Bugolobi. It's called Quick Care Wellness Center. Under Quick Care Wellness Center, we have mental health support systems, which is what handles all the mental health related issues. Quick Care also does chronic care management. We also have pediatrics and many others, but we have a strong mental health department, and we have 2 branches. We're coming up with a 3rd branch, but I'm at Bugolobi on Bandali Rise. And you can reach me, you can find me on social media, first of all. I think that's such an easier accessibility for people.
Yes.
Yeah, you can find me on social media, on Instagram as Mental Health Support Systems, on Facebook as Leona Buhenzire, or you can contact Quick Care Wellness Center. It's on all the social media platforms. I'm also on Twitter as Tura with 6 R's. Someone took all the other R's. I had to go to 6 R's, Tura with 6, and I'll be happy to hear from you. Or you can send me an email at leona.buhenzire@quickcare.com.
It's about quick care.
Quick care.
And once you get to Minette as well, it's MINET Minette.
Yes.
You can get a hold of Helen. Yeah. And yeah, you'll be at the right spot to get a hold of Olivia as well as Leona for more inspiration. Well, do apologize. We've been having technical hitch here and there, but it's been a pleasure spending time with you this Tuesday morning. And to the programs manager, yes, we took up more of the time, and I'm sure people are waiting to watch a chilling, but there's a lot lined up for you as far as programming is concerned on the national broadcaster. Thank you, Helen, for your time.
Thank you so
Greetings
much
to the
for
people at
hosting
Minet.
us. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
hosting.
Olivia.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful. Leona, good to have you, African woman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, those who are watching, lift up a sister, and the men, we salute you. Thank you for your support. My name is Sandra. God bless you. Thank you for watching.
Yes, you too.
Amaina gange